And then, I don't know if I'll be able to show you the extent of this, but it has just gotten out of hand. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, I'm Kathryn, the Aerogarden Homesteader, and today I'm just trying to get a few things done. This is some unsalted butter. I am going to be making some pumpkin muffins. These have a streusel topping, and so I'm going to fight with the butter, but I need to get some butter melted. This is, I don't know if I mentioned, it's unsalted. So it's funny. We buy butter from two different places normally. I mean, we probably get it all over the place, but, you know, wherever it's on sale. One place, the unsalted butter is blue, and the other place, the salted butter is blue. My goodness, that's confusing. But anyways, it is fall, which means it is pumpkin season, or apple season, or it's just cinnamon season. So I'm going to take advantage of some pumpkins I have. I'm going to get this melted. I also did some stuff with apples, so hey, let me know below. Let me know below, are you team apple or are you team pumpkin? Or do you just not care and it just needs to taste good? Okay, I am going to start by making the streusel topping. So I'm making half the topping, because it calls for 1/4 cup of topping per muffin, and to me that seems a little extreme. So I am just going to do a 1/2 cup, or a half batch, and hopefully that'll be good. Now it does call for brown sugar, and I'm going to have a little bit of an issue here because I'm going to split the melted butter up. So I won't be able to just add the molasses to the butter until after it's melted. So we'll have to see how that goes. But let me pull up my recipe. So I put in a 1/2 cup of flour. It was a 1/4 cup of each sugar, so a 1/2 cup of sugar. I'm going to put in, I guess we'll do this in order, a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. There we go. Doesn't seem like much, but I guess I didn't need the pumpkin pie spice. I don't know why I took that out. Oh, I'll need it for the main part. Then I need 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now if you're using salted butter, you can probably cut back on the amount of salt you use in here. So use your best judgment or skip it altogether. Depends on how sensitive to salt you are. Okay, and then we're going to mix that all up. Okay, what I might do is I will take out 1/4 cup of melted butter, because I'll need that for the muffins, and then the other 1/4 cup I will mix the molasses in, and then mix it in here. And if you feel comfortable melting your butter in the microwave without it exploding everywhere, you go right ahead. But last time I did that, I feel like I just made a massive mess, and let me tell you, the cleanup needed to get done, but it wasn't fun. Okay, so in my mixer, I need to start getting the muffins ready. I also need to preheat my oven. Okay, oven needs to be preheated to 425. This will make 12 muffins. I will link the recipe below, just in case you want to follow along. The strudel topping does call for nuts, but I know my family won't go for that, so we're just going to skip the nuts. I think it'll be fine without it. If you like nuts, go ahead and put them in. It calls for pecans or pecans, whichever way you like to pronounce it. But anyways, in my bowl, once I get everything put together, I will start adding my sugar. Again, it does call for a mix of white and brown. I will add in the molasses with the liquid component. I am going to do a slightly different method than the one it calls for, just because I tend to be a one bowl person. So if it doesn't turn out, it's my fault. If it doesn't turn out, don't do what I did. Okay, so I need 1 cup of sugar total. And you probably can't see what I'm doing. I don't know if you really care. I'm just putting sugar in my mixer. Okay, there's that. Done with the sugar. Okay, so I will be adding a 1/4 cup of the butter into here. and 1/4 cup of the butter into there with molasses. So while I am waiting for the butter to melt, and this is why I wanted to kind of get ahead of everything, I want to get my shortening measured. Now it does call for a full 1/2 cup of butter. I have shortening. I would rather just use some of that because it is cheaper, so it sort of stretches the amount of butter I have. But do what you want to do. I know some things do taste better when it's all butter, but you know, for something that's got cinnamon in it, are you really going to be able to tell how much butter is in there? The cinnamon and pumpkin pie spice, in my opinion, will mask some of that buttery flavor, so I am going to do this. There we go. Okay, my butter is almost melted, so I need to keep this handy. I want to do the out of sight, out of mind thing. Okay, that there. I do not have a lot of counter space right now, so I'm trying to make do. So I will be cleaning as I go. Okay, I'm going to get this mixed in just a little bit so that when I add the butter I can just get the rest of it going. Pretty good. Okay, the butter is close. There is a chunk in here, so I'm going to work on that. Yeah, that's better. Get out 1/4 cup for this. Okay. Oops, get that moved out of the way. It's got suction cups. It does not move easily. Okay, so in here I need to add a little bit of molasses and get that combined. Under normal circumstances, I would just use brown sugar, but I don't keep it in the house, so this is how we're going to get this combined nicely. Yeah, well, it's not perfect, but that's weird. I thought that would go in nicely, but guess not. Okay, get this going. Oh yeah, that smells good. Okay. There we go. I'm going to let this sit off to the side and carry on with the muffin base. Now, since the muffin base has all the same ingredients, I am going to just reuse the spoon. Put this back, preferably without the butter. Okay. Get that scraped down. I will keep mixing this. There's my oven. I will keep mixing this until it's well combined. I do have the bowl scraper assembly that goes with this, but sometimes it's more trouble than it's worth. Just so many extra pieces to wash. There are some cases where it is actually worth it to use it, but this is not one of them. Once I get it going, it will sort of self-clean on its own. Okay, there we go. Let's figure out the next step. Pumpkin puree. Okay, it calls for 1 1/4 cups. So I did this in the oven. This is from one of my pumpkins that I grew this year. So there is 2 cups in here. I might just get a measuring cup. Okay, get a proper liquid measuring cup. Okay, so the suggestion is to leave this at room temperature so that it doesn't curdle everything, but we're just going to, oops, I guess we won't use that chunk. It was sitting in the freezer because I did it a couple days ago and I wasn't sure when I'd get to the muffins because we all of a sudden had a lot of other things to eat. So you want to make sure everything got eaten down before I suddenly start baking. I think I am almost there. What do you think? That looks like 1 1/4 cups. Put in a tiny bit more. Okay, well with the rest of this I am going to make a pumpkin bread or pumpkin loaf. I do have some more pumpkin in a jar that I will use to make sure this is the right amount. So stay tuned for that. I don't know if that's going to happen because I have fruit leathers I wanted to make and I think there was something else I was going to make. Anyways, I don't want to have too many things sitting around. Alright, let's get that in there. It smells pumpkin-y already. Okay, I need 2 large eggs. Okay, we'll add these one at a time and get it mixed up. Okay, well here's the part where I'm going to deviate a lot. I am just going to mix in most of my dry stuff right in here and then get it mixed up instead of using a separate bowl. I can't remember how much salt it called for. 3/4 teaspoon. Okay, well we can put in a little bit more. So I'm going to put in the non-important things first so it doesn't matter if they sit in the batter for a little bit. Boy, this is brand new, so I hope it is potent. My last one was almost out and I don't think it was very... Okay, tablespoon of... or 3 teaspoons if your tablespoon doesn't fit in very well. Okay. Or however much that ended up being. Going with it. Okay, and molasses. So these are all things where it doesn't impact the leavening. If I were to put in my baking powder and baking soda right now, it would impact things because it would start foaming up and doing stuff. So I will add baking powder, baking soda, and flour pretty much at the same time. Whew, that stuff is definitely stronger. All those wiped down. Okay. Calls for sour cream. I do not have sour cream, and I looked into potentially just whipping some up, but it calls for like 1/4 cup. So what I will do instead is some of the alternatives would be yogurt, Greek yogurt, obviously make it yourself. You could just take milk and add vinegar to it. Buttermilk will work. Oddly enough, mayonnaise will work. So I'm just going to put in some mayonnaise because that's what I have that's pretty convenient right now, so I'm going to just go for it. Besides which, mayonnaise is really just oil and egg, so there's no reason not to put it in. I have also, I don't know if you ever had any, but when I was growing up, I guess mayonnaise cake was all the rage. Oh boy, I don't know why this keeps falling off my knife. There we go. Now, there are other recipes out there that are similar to this. I think I saw one on Mel's Kitchen Cafe. So that doesn't call for the mayonnaise or the sour cream or stuff like that, buttermilk. So you could always find another recipe, but I think this one looked like a good one in my opinion. I think it was the streusel topping that was getting me. Streusel. It does have a maple glaze topping for it, which I don't think I'm going to make. I might make a brown sugar glaze for it, which does have a kind of maple flavor to it. But we will see. I think this will be good just on its own. I don't think it's going to need anything else sweet. Okay, continue cleaning up a little. Okay, we are on to flour, baking powder, and baking soda. I believe those are the last ingredients. I don't like the way this recipe is written because obviously the method is backwards to what I normally do, so the recipe is written backwards to how I would do it. So I have to make sure I have not forgotten anything. Okay. So we need 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and flour. 1 3/4 cup. So 2 teaspoons of baking, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. So I can do this without making a mess. Yeah, that would be a mess. I'm going to call that good. And 3/4 cup of flour. Oh, 1 3/4. My mistake. I'm going to give that a quick mix, by the way. I want to make sure you have the lid on for this part. It will get poofy. Okay, I don't want to overmix it for obvious reasons, but in case you're not aware, I don't want it to get tough. So an overmixed muffin is not a pleasant muffin. I can always fold the rest in gently by hand. Okay, well now that I have made a big mess. Okay, don't want to forget that. Get this out of the way. Alright, I am going to use a scoop for uniformity, but I don't know how uniform it will be. Guess we will see. Okay, let's see how this goes. 1 scoop per. It's supposed to do 12. Let's see how many scoops I get. I'll be a little upset if I get too many because I don't have any more muffin tins. Guess we will figure it out. Looking like I'm going to have extra. I think I got enough for 1 more. So rather than overfill them, I'm going to put another cup liner on the side. Okay, hopefully that will do it. Okay, well that's how much I had left over. So either my muffin tins are a little smaller than the one they used, or I didn't fill them enough. Even this one might be a little overflowing. Okay, we're going to go around and divvy up a little. Okay, there we go. Now let's get the topping on. Ooh, that got hard. Probably could have used a little more molasses, but I think it's okay. Okay. I want some chunks, I just don't want really big chunks. Okay, that looks a little better. Put a bit on each one. See, I don't think that could take 1/4 cup of topping. Sure, it might taste great with 1/4 cup, but man, I thought I was going to be able to leave a couple plain, but I guess not. Okay, we're going for gold. Make sure most of this is up off the sheet and pan, or it will cause problems cleaning up. Okay, so the baking instructions are a little special, so I will go over it real quick before I put it in, because I'm going to have to turn the camera off to put it in. It goes in the oven at 425 for 5 minutes, and then I will turn the temperature down to 350 and cook until done. So that could take 15 to 18 minutes. So I will come back in about 20 minutes or so and show you how this turned out. And we will move on to the next recipe while this is baking. While the muffins are going, I am going to get started on some fruit leathers. Now, you might think the order is a little backwards because fruit leathers are going to take so much longer, but I think this is the better way to go. So I have 2 quarts of puree, a pint of puree, and a pint of apple juice. These are all things that I have done on the channel, so you can go back and see. I'll try to link to them to show you how they were done, but I'm going to make fruit leathers out of this, and it turns out really nice. So I will also be using the Ball low or no sugar needed pectin. I will be doing no sugar. So first things first, I want to get these mixed up, opened, and in the pot heating. Those muffins smell good, by the way. It'll all go in the pot except the apple juice. I will save that aside and you'll see why in a minute. Okay, get that warming. Okay, so just so you know what I'm doing 6 cups of apricot and 4 cups of peach. So you can kind of do whatever ratio or mix you want to do, but this is what I have. So this is what we're doing. I mean, I do have more of each type, but I'm trying to find a way to sort of make the flavors more uniform, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. There we go. Okay, and peach. These are peaches from our tree. And apricots from our tree, actually. We had so many apricots. Wasn't even funny. So we have so much apricot puree. That's actually why I'm putting in more apricot than peach. Okay. Plus my husband won't complain. What I like to do is I peel these stickers off and I set them by the side of the sink so I know which ones to take out of my inventory. Of course, the only issue is remembering which one was the pint and which one was the quart. I'm going to put a little bit of this in, but I'm going to keep most of it in here. And maybe a little bit more. There we go. Okay. Now, it's a good thing this isn't a wide mouth. I will be putting this in here instead of pulling out the blender and doing it all in the blender. So, I believe I need 1/2 cup for the amount I have. Now, it calls for 1.5 tablespoons per 2 cups of liquid. But if you're keeping track, you'll realize I am off by a little bit. So I could add in another tablespoon, but I'm turning this into fruit leathers, not jam, so I think it will be okay. I'm going to add this little at a time and blend while I'm doing it. Maybe I should have just gotten the measuring cup out. I guess we have already made a mess in the kitchen, so what's a little bit more? There we go. And I will scrape that out. It will not go to waste. Okay, well, don't be like me and try to save a dish. Just get the measuring cup out. That way you don't have to put all the apple juice in the pot either, and it'll probably go in a little bit better. Okay, we want to make sure there are no lumps, because that will affect your fruit leather. Nobody wants a lump in their fruit leather. Okay. Let's see how that is going. That is pretty darn close, I think. It does not need to come up to a boil, it just needs to get really hot. So a low simmer is probably fine. you saw my last video where I was doing this funny thing with clothes pegs and my sheets, I actually finally invested in a set of fruit leather trays to go on my Excalibur trays. So these I have tested. They do hold about 3 cups. I did 2.5 cups last time, and it seemed like it worked pretty good, but it did get a little crispy around the edges, so I'm going to try to do the full 3 cups this time in here and see how that goes, and hopefully it'll give a slightly better product. So we'll see. Anyways, I have 3 of those prepared and ready to go. I have this is prepared and ready to go. So we are just waiting for this to come up to temperature, which I think it is almost there. I do need to be careful. I can feel it is slightly sticking to the bottom, even though my temperature really isn't that high. And I think I want 180. So I'm at 160. Well, it's rising fast. Maybe, am I there? Nope. There's warm spots and cold spots, so this might take a little bit longer. Okay, it is a-boiling. I did check the temperature. We are up above the 180 mark, so I'm going to get this mixed in. I want to mix it in really well. And supposedly you have to work quickly after this because it will start gelling. I haven't noticed that being a problem for this stuff. Maybe that's a Pomona's thing, but because it's got an activator in it. I don't know how this stuff works, but okay. So there's that. I'm probably going to put down a heat pad and get it off the heat, or cutting board. And then I'm going to fill these. I don't know how I'm going to fill these in place without having to move them around, but I guess we will see. I will fill one at a time. I might just have to carry the pot over to the other counter where I have a little more space, not much, but a little more space, and I will fill them up from there. So this is about half a cup each scoop. So if I just put in 6 scoops, I should be good. Okay, so that should be 6 cups. Just need to get it to the edges. So the thing I did notice the last time I did this is you don't want to put it too far up the edges. You want to try to like the least amount possible because it does shrink when it dehydrates. But you also don't want it to be super thick in the middle or it will not do it in the middle. So it's just one of those fine lines. My oven is about to beep, so I need to shuffle things around and try to get stuff done, test the muffins. But I will get the other trays filled and in the dehydrator, and I will show you how it all turns out. This is how the muffins turned out. They are slightly flat, so I don't know if I overfilled them or overmixed them, but the topping is nice and crispy, the interior is nice and fluffy. These are really good. I highly recommend trying them. I don't know that I'm going to make any glaze for it because I feel like they are plenty sweet. I don't think they need anything else, but I could see how a maple glaze would taste really good with these. So if you do the maple glaze, let me know what you thought of it. So it's been a little over 10 hours. You can see it's wet here, but it's still wet, but it's dry enough to the touch that I can just flip this over. And it's pretty easy to just flip it over and remove it from this. These are so nice. I wish I had gotten these earlier. There we go, for the most part. Oh, it didn't quite come off on that side. Must have been a little too wet. But this will definitely be going in for a little longer just to finish the drying process. Just a little wet there, but that's fine. So I am in the process of wrapping up the fruit leathers, and as you can see, they are nice and pliable still. They turned out really well using the fruit puree. So it's a really good way to sort of store up fruit to make leathers for later in the season without taking up freezer space. So I just use kitchen scissors and cut them into strips. Obviously you can cut the strips to whatever size you would like, and I roll them in a little bit of wax paper, tape it down, and stick it in a jar. Obviously store it how you like, but there we go. I got a week and a half to 2 weeks worth of fruit leathers per person. So, you know, if I wanted to have, if more people ate it, I would make more, or I would just make it more often. So, yeah, no, that turned out pretty good. I get about 8 rolls per tray, and I got 3 trays. And I don't know if you can see, but they're pretty thin, and that was 3 cups of liquid. So, on to the plant update, and the celery is looking amazing. I had to lift the light up today. I also took out the sad tomato that was way in the back there, and a couple days ago I did take out the other tomato because, I don't know if you can tell, but these things were shading it out horribly. They also are water guzzlers. I am a little concerned about having 3 in here. 3 may have been a mistake. 6 was definitely too many, and I think 4 would have been too many, but I am kind of wondering if 3 might be too many as well. It is just a water guzzler. Oh my gosh. And it is a heavy feeder. I think I need to increase the amount of food it is getting, so we will see how that goes. Today is a feed day. That was another reason why I wanted to move the tomato out. So the tomato made it upstairs. You should see the other one. Oh my gosh, it is huge. The lettuce is doing really well, or at least the curly ones are. I do have a little bit of crispiness in the back there. I did harvest this one a little hard, but I don't seem to have any problems with the fuzzy ones, like the frizzy ones. This one's got a little bit of burning here. I don't know why, but I mean, they look pretty good, but the other one it looks bad. This is still trucking along. It just doesn't change. I've been harvesting from it and they just look the same no matter what I do to it. So these are the other ones, and yeah, I don't know what's going on with them. It's like they're trying to form heads. I think this is the Nevada, but it's crispy. It's just, I can't really harvest it. Like if I harvest it and pull all the crunchy stuff off, I don't get very much lettuce. If I don't harvest it, it just keeps getting crispy and like, yeah, I don't know. I have been kind of harvesting some of the bottom leaves and just giving them to the chickens, so it's not a total waste, but it's basically a waste. I don't know what's going on. That one back there looks okay, like it's forming a head, it looks good, but the other ones kind of don't look all that great. And I finally brought the cilantro upstairs. It was looking really bad. I should probably just show you what it looks like as an overlay. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I brought it upstairs. I'm going to clean it all up. I'm going to get some new cilantro started, and I will get it down. I do have some cilantro going on upstairs, so I'm not completely out of cilantro, but one of them is ready to bolt, and the other one's still a little too small to be harvesting from. So I will show you how all of that is doing in a minute. And this is the cilantro that I was talking about. I do have some fresh cilantro going. I did start these in the cotton balls. This is a new unit. It's new to me, at least. I will have an unboxing and I'll tell you all about it, so keep an eye out for that video. But right now you can see that the cilantro in here is getting big. It got fed a couple days ago. It's on a slightly different feed schedule from the rest of the plants, but I will catch it up to the rest of them so that I can just feed them all at once. So that's how that is doing. So I do have cilantro, but I do need to get more going because we go through it a lot. And here is the upstairs garden. Everything seems to be doing pretty good, although I did forget about a pepper and it is starting to go wrinkly. And of course I had a salad yesterday and forgot to eat the pepper. But I got lots of new growth in here with a lot more flowers. I think I'm giving it like 80 ml of food now, of the master blend, both of them. And so they're doing really well. They seem to be healthy. Got lots of new growth. So I'll probably stick with the 80 for now. And if I notice more petals dropping or, you know, just not looking all that great, I'll probably put it up to 100 at that point. And then, I don't know if I'll be able to show you the extent of this, but it has just gotten out of hand. Oh my gosh. I need the new trellising. I need more trellising really badly. I noticed they did a new trellis instead of the magnet, so I gotta get that, but yeah, it's just been insane. And then hiding under here, that is where the new tomato has been kind of trucking along. So I'm definitely going to be moving it over to its own today and giving it food and getting it going, so hopefully we'll see a nice burst of growth once it gets its own stuff. And I've had a lot more of the flowers open. They definitely do smell like jasmine. I don't know why people said it smells like lemon, but definitely jasmine. And this is the first year I've had this plant. In fact, I've only had it for like a month or two. I unfortunately have to pick the fruit off and not allow it to develop because it will impact the health of the plant. So unfortunately we will not be watching lemons grow this year, but hopefully next year. I mean, if it was willing to bloom this year, hopefully it'll be willing to bloom next year. And maybe the lime, which is looking pretty good, lots of new growth, maybe the lime will also grow as well, grow some fruit. So yeah, I might give it extra food this time. I think I've been giving it the minimum that the Aerogarden calls for. So maybe I'll put it up to 30 or 40 just so that it can start supporting all of these blooms that are just like everywhere. And this is not the size of the plant I expected. I expected it to stop growing at some point. This is starting to look awful, I don't know, indeterminate. So we'll see. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed the pumpkin muffins, let me know below. I will have some more videos up at the end that you might also enjoy, and I will see you next time on the Aerogarden Homestead.